Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS NFL Week 9. We're on to Sunday. Going to go through a handful of games, just some of the 1 p.m. games here in this video. We'll go through them all on the live show tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. Bears are on the road in Cincinnati. When it comes to the Chicago offense against the Cincinnati defense, got injuries on both sides, key injuries too. Bears are going to be missing DeAndre Swift, Luther Burden, and Braxton Jones is going to miss another game at left tackle. On the Cincinnati side, we've got 2 injuries, but they're very key injuries. Trey Hendrickson most likely not going to play. Same goes for Logan Wilson. This is already a Cincinnati defense we can't trust to begin with. I mean, this is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I'm sure you didn't need me to tell you that. They're 31st in success rate, 31st in EPA per play. Even if you don't think the Bears offense is particularly good, I mean, does it matter? Can this Bengals defense stop anybody? We saw Cincinnati play one great game against the run back in week 1 on the road in Cleveland. The Browns were not able to run the ball on the Bengals in that game. They've basically gotten steamrolled on the ground in every game since. Since that Cleveland game, they've played 7. They're allowing 5.5 yards per carry, just under 48% success rate per rush, over 167 rush yards per game. And if you're thinking, oh, well, Kyle, there's no DeAndre Swift and the Bears can't really run the ball. Well, hold up on that. Because we've seen this Bears offense running the football in 3 straight games. Granted, they were against some questionable run defenses, the Commanders, the Saints, and the Ravens. But in their last 3 games, they're averaging over 155 rushing yards per game, 5.4 yards per carry, 48.5% success rate per rush. We've seen this Bears team running the football recently. We got to keep in mind, this is Ben Johnson's offense now. He gave us arguably the most dominant rushing attack in the NFL year after year with the Detroit Lions. We know Ben Johnson wants to run the ball. In addition to playing some shaky run defenses in the last few weeks, couldn't it also be that this Bears offense just needed a few weeks to get Ben Johnson's system in place and develop some chemistry? I don't think it's crazy to think that the Bears might be running the football in the second half of the year. This is Ben Johnson. So yeah, against Cincinnati, they can't seem to stop anybody on the ground. Even without DeAndre Swift, I mean, I think we can count on Chicago to run the football in this game. And with Trey Hendrickson out, I mean, you have to imagine Caleb Williams will have plenty of space to work with clean pockets in this one. And Caleb Williams does have some efficient throwing numbers from the pocket, does have a tendency to hold on to the football and be a little trigger shy. But, I mean, without Hendrickson out there, you got to imagine this is a very favorable spot for Caleb Williams. Look, I don't trust Caleb Williams at all, and I certainly don't trust him on the road. Even last year, he was much better at home in Chicago. But we just saw Justin Fields have a very efficient day throwing the ball. Cincinnati was unable to generate consistent pressure against the Jets. Justin Fields was pressured on less than 19% of his dropbacks. If Justin Fields can go on the road in Cincinnati and have an efficient day throwing the ball, you'd have to think Caleb Williams can as well. So, I mean, I think Chicago should win the battle up front. This Bears offensive line has actually been better than you think. They've done a decent job creating space on the ground, as we just saw their rushing numbers from the last 3 games. Cincinnati consistently getting blown off the ball. And where the Bears have struggled a lot offensively this year is in the red zone. They're actually one of the worst red zone offenses, but Cincinnati has, I think, the worst red zone defense, or one of the worst. I didn't write it down, but they have one of the worst red zone defenses. So this might be a defense where the Bears can actually finish some drives too. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most of you agree that the Bears are going to be able to move the football and score points in this game. Now, on the other side of the ball, this is where things get a bit iffy. I've been very vocal about how I don't believe this Bears defense is very good. I certainly don't trust them against the run. And that's really what I'm looking at here. Cincinnati, not known to be a rushing offense, but in terms of efficiency only, they're actually one of the most efficient rushing attacks in the NFL. They spent most of the season not running it, but when they did hand it off, they actually had some efficient rushing numbers. Take a look at their last 2 games. 7.9 yards per carry, 181 rushing yards per game, over 65% success rate per rush. Is this sustainable? It was against a Jets defense that's missing linebacker. Jets are so injured. And then a Steelers defense that's struggling. So maybe a couple of questionable defenses. But Cincinnati, all season they've been pretty efficient running the ball. We just didn't really notice it because they never run it. Last couple games, I mean, they are running the football, and this is a Bears defense I do not trust on the ground. I mean, they went on the road to Baltimore last week. Tyler Huntley at quarterback, 6.4 yards per play allowed, over 54% success rate. So that's what's keeping me off of placing this bet. I like the Bears, but laying 2.5 in a game where Cincinnati should be able to hand the ball off. By the way, Joe Flacco dealing with a shoulder injury. I don't know if he's going to play. I'm reading right here. Joe Flacco set to start. That was from 6 hours ago. So it looks like he is going to start, but from what I've heard, he might not finish the game if he takes a hit or lands on that shoulder. So I'm not sure. I think he's still listed as questionable, but from what I'm reading, it does look like he's going to start. How healthy is Joe Flacco? I think there's some questions on this Bengals offense. I just really don't like the Chicago defense. So it's keeping me off of actually placing the bet. But I do think the Bears are the considerable better team. It's just, do we think they're this much better? What people don't realize is laying 2.5 points on the road, that's a considerable favorite. That means you're saying that team's 4.5 points better on a neutral field. And the way Cincinnati's been playing, do we think the Bears are 4.5 points better than the current rendition of Cincinnati on a neutral? I'm not sure if they are. So I can't place the bet, but I was leaning Chicago minus 2.5. 49ers on the road in MetLife. We know San Francisco is going to move the football in this game because the Giants defense can't seem to stop anybody, especially on the ground. This is the worst run defense in the NFL on paper so far this year. 32nd, dead last in success rate per rush, 32nd in EPA per rush. It was on full display last week. On the road in Philadelphia, the Eagles, who had actually been struggling to run the ball up to this point, 9.27 yards per carry, 278 yards on the ground, 60% success rate per rush. Yeah, this is a really bad run defense, and they're also dealing with injuries on this side of the ball. Flott, their corner, he is now out. That's new. Adebo is still out. McFadden is still out. Javon Holland might be coming back. He didn't play in the Eagles game. That would be big. But based on what we've seen so far this season, we have to price the Giants' run defense as really bad because it has been really bad. The 49ers, not exactly putting up huge numbers offensively, just 18 points per game in their last 3, but they have been efficiently moving the ball for the most part. 5.9 yards per play, 49% success rate are certainly good-looking numbers. Obviously, as I'm sure you know, they have injury problems of their own. Still going to be without their center. Still no Ayuk. Ricky Pearsall still not back. Brock Purdy might be medically cleared, but from what I'm reading, it sounds like Mac Jones is going to start anyway, and Brock Purdy will be available in emergency situations. So it looks like we are going to see Mac Jones again. He hasn't played particularly well, but that being said, he's definitely played defenses that are much tougher than the Giants. Houston, great defense. Bucks are pretty solid defense. Falcons defense, that's a little iffy, but they do blitz a lot. It's not the easiest defense to throw the ball against. So Mac Jones hasn't played great, but he's also been in some tough matchups. As far as this Giants pass rush, pretty disappointing so far this year. I mean, not that it's been terrible. They're pretty middle of the pack when it comes to pressuring the passer, but coming into the season, I felt like there was so much hype surrounding those Giants edge rushers, and they really haven't lived up to it. Mac Jones, pretty efficient throwing numbers from a clean pocket. He also tends to get the ball out quickly. I would imagine he's able to make throws on this Giants secondary. I would imagine Christian McCaffrey's able to run the ball, even though running the ball hasn't really been... It showed up a little bit in the last couple of games for the 49ers, but they haven't been the most efficient rushing team so far this year. But I would imagine against the Giants defense, they can't seem to stop anybody on the ground, that Christian McCaffrey should have no problem running the ball in this game. So, yeah, I can't trust the Giants defense to make stops here. Obviously, I really like Kyle Shanahan scheming up the plays. So, yeah, I think the 49ers should move the ball fluently. On the other side of the ball, this is where it gets a little bit tougher to evaluate. So when it comes to the Giants offense against the 49ers defense, I think we can all agree that the Giants offense is slightly better than these numbers show. But I use the word slightly because I think the hype surrounding Jackson Dart and Scadaboo, who unfortunately is now injured, I think maybe it got people a little too big on the Giants offense. They're not like the most explosive offense in the NFL or anything. Jackson Dart is considerably better than Russell Wilson, but this is still not an offense that you need to fear. And San Francisco's defense, I mean, I still think this can be a good defense, even missing the Warner and wow, I blanked. Warner and Bosa, even missing those two guys, but they have even more injuries now. So this 49ers defense is just too injured to evaluate. Jackson Dart, let's give him some credit. He has played well in his last 3 games. Last week against the Eagles certainly wasn't his best showing, but he still did make some throws. He does have a tendency to hold on to the football a bit too long, but this 49ers defense, can they even pressure the passer right now? Remember, there's no Bosa. There's no Bryce Huff. They actually have two other edge rushers that are out here. Gross Matos is out, and then who's the Teron Jackson? I think he's way down on the depth chart. So yeah, they also have other injuries to edge rushers, and this team just can't seem to pressure the quarterback right now. This is probably a bottom 5 pass rush at the moment, and Jackson Dart, a 105.8 passer rating when given a clean pocket. You'd have to think he has some clean pockets to throw from in this one. And even though the Giants are missing their right tackle, well, he's listed as doubtful. It hasn't been confirmed. But I would imagine they'll be missing their right tackle. I still don't think we can count on the 49ers generating consistent pressure. So Jackson Dart should have opportunities to make plenty of throws in this game. The problem is, do we trust the Giants' run game without Scadaboo? Because normally I'd say, hey, the running back's not that important of a position. You can plug and play other running backs in. But Scadaboo's a unique case where he kind of gives the whole team energy, and the way he runs is very unique. I don't know if I trust the Giants to run the ball in this game, because despite all these injuries, 49ers still have been pretty rock solid against the run. In their last 3 games, they're allowing just 4 yards per carry, 41.4% success rate per rush, 108 rushing yards per game. So without Scadaboo, I'm not sure if I trust the Giants to run the ball. And if that's the case, we're talking about a 49ers offense that I think will move the ball well. I think they will be able to run the ball. I think Mac Jones can make throws against the Giants offense that might be forced to be a bit one-dimensional. And when it comes down to it, 49ers are going to be moving the ball. If it comes down to the fourth quarter and it's a one-possession game, I trust Kyle Shanahan to draw up the win over Brian Daboll. I think the 49ers win this game. This is another one where I'm taking another short road favorite that I don't really like. 49ers minus 2.5. It's a tough NFL slate, man. Give me the 49ers minus 2.5. I don't hate an over, but not if it's above 48. So 49ers minus 2.5. Denver's on the road in Houston, and we're talking about a Broncos team that has now won 5 consecutive football games. 5 wins in a row for Denver. And if you actually take a look at their schedule, you remember some of these games. I mean, you could make the argument that Denver should be 8-0. I mean, the Colts game with that field goal penalty at the end, and the Chargers game, they pretty much dominated 3.5 quarters of that, and they blew the lead at the end. So you could make the argument that Denver should be 8-0. And now you could also say they should have lost the Eagles game. I get it. You can play the shoulda, coulda, woulda game on both sides. But this Broncos team, 5 wins in a row, heading into Houston. The question is, do we think they can move the ball here? Because this Texans defense is strong. On the season, Houston's 5th in success rate, 1st in EPA per play. There's a lot of people that believe Houston has the best defense in the NFL, and it's tough to make an argument against that. Denver's offense has looked very strong in their last 2 games. 6.6 yards per play, over 38 points per game, 52.8% success rate. We have to consider that they played the Giants and the Cowboys. The Cowboys probably have the worst defense in the NFL. The Giants have the worst run defense in the NFL. So they've played back-to-back games against bad defenses. Also, both those games were at home as well. Going on the road and trying to score points on the Houston Texans defense is certainly a lot different than scoring points at home against the Giants and Cowboys defense. If you look at Houston's last 2 games, they played good offenses too. Seattle's been a great offense this year. In San Francisco, a little bit injured, but we know with Christian McCaffrey, we know that's still a dangerous offense. In their last 2 games against those 2 teams, 5.5 yards per play allowed, 21 points per game allowed. This defense, and remember in that Seattle game, man, their offense did them no favors in that game. They kept gifting the Seahawks field position. So, yeah, I mean, this Houston defense at home, it's a tough gig for Bo Nix. And this is a Houston defense. I was talking about this last week. They generate a lot of consistent pressure without sending any extra rushers, which is huge because Bo Nix has actually had success throwing the ball against the blitz. Houston doesn't blitz much. They don't need to blitz. They generate pressure without blitzing. Bo Nix has not performed well under pressure this year. 4.3 yards per pass attempt under pressure so far this year. So the Houston pass rush should definitely be a problem for Bo Nix. Another thing Houston does, a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 4, a lot of cover 6. Bo Nix, not the greatest looking passing numbers against zone coverage. 82.6 passer rating, 6.1 yards per attempt. Over 69% of Houston's defensive snaps are in cover 3, cover 4, cover 6. So I don't like this matchup for Bo Nix at all. And when it comes to Denver's run game, I don't want to take credit away from them. They have been running the ball. In their last 6 games, they're averaging 5.3 yards per carry, over 140 rushing yards per game. So Denver has been running the ball. Can we take into consideration the opponents, though? The Cowboys, probably the worst defense in the NFL. The Giants, the worst run defense in the NFL. The Jets' defensive front riddled with injuries. Even the Eagles have been struggling a little bit against the run. The Bengals, one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And the Chargers, when they were injured there, they were getting run on by everybody. So going on the road and trying to run the ball in Houston is just such a level up from any of the defenses in this graphic. I'm not sure if we can count on Denver running the football in this game. I think this is a really tough matchup for the Broncos offense to go on the road and try to score points. Now, on the other side of the ball, we have to talk about the Houston Texans offense. So we've already established we think Denver's going to struggle to move the ball. Can we count on Houston to score against this Broncos defense? These might be the 2 best defenses in the NFL, by the way. The Broncos are first in success rate, 6th in EPA per play. As I'm sure you know, Houston has struggled to move the ball this year. This offense has not looked good at all. Huge news, though, here for Houston. Nico Collins and Christian Kirk, both back on the field, both going to play in this one. And that's especially crucial in this matchup because what does Denver do a lot of? Man coverage. Over 42% of Denver's defensive snaps are in man coverage this year. 1, CJ Stroud actually has nice, efficient throwing numbers against man coverage, a 114.7 passer rating. 2, they get their 2 wide receivers back, specifically Nico Collins. That's the guy they want on the field to beat man coverage. And in addition to that, not only is Denver missing their best corner in Patrick Surtain, but they're probably missing what is the best corner in the entire NFL. So you get Nico Collins and Christian Kirk back against Denver's man coverage, who's missing their best corner. So as bad as Houston's offense has been, and as good as Denver's defense has been, there are actually a couple favorable aspects of this matchup. For the Texans, we know CJ Stroud plays better at home. That's not just the case this year. That's been the case over his entire career. He's always much more reliable at home in Houston. Yeah, there might be a path to Houston having a successful offensive game in this one. Here's the problem. Vance Joseph and those blitz packages, that Denver Broncos pass rush, this is a nightmare for CJ Stroud, a guy who's struggled under pressure this year, a guy who's struggled against the blitz. Well, Denver blitzes a lot. They have arguably the best pass rush in the NFL. The Denver Broncos have 36 sacks this season. The next closest is 26. They have 10 more sacks than any other team in the NFL. So before you go bet the Houston Texans, like, oh, man coverage, no Patrick Surtain, this is a nightmarish matchup here. The Broncos pass rush against CJ Stroud. We know CJ Stroud is a quarterback where if we're betting him, we want him to have clean pockets to throw from. And can we count on him to have clean pockets in this game? It's tough to say. And I doubt they're going to be able to provide Stroud any run support in this game. Houston hasn't been terrible on the ground, but 34.3% success rate per rush certainly isn't great. Not to mention Denver's got a very strong run defense. So I'm not sure if he's going to have run support. Also, situationally, I mean, Houston's offense in the red zone has been terrible. Denver's got the best red zone defense in the NFL. So as much as I like, oh, Nico Collins is back, no Patrick Surtain, I'm a little hesitant to back the Texans offense against this Broncos pass rush. So I do think Houston is the play because I think Denver could really struggle to move the ball in this one. So my pick for this game is Houston. I don't hate the under at 40.5. I haven't pulled the trigger on it. I think I am going to bet Houston, but I'm a little worried about it. Give me Houston -1.5, under 40.5. Colts Steelers in Pittsburgh. So it looks like the weather's going to be fine in this one, by the way. Early in the week, it looked like there was a chance of rain. I'm not seeing that anymore. So the weather should be good here. This Colts offense, man, what a wagon. And we're deep enough into the season where you can't use words like fluke, or maybe you can criticize the strength of competition a little bit, but they're second in success rate, first in EPA per play. This is the most efficient offense in the NFL right now, at least based on what we've seen against a Pittsburgh defense that, man, I don't even know what to really say about the Steelers defense anymore. They're 22nd in success rate, 25th in EPA per play on the season. I thought that they were turning it around there for a couple games if you rewind a few weeks back, but last 2 games, man, 34 points per game allowed, 7.4 yards per play. Wow. 53.4% success rate. They've allowed over 1,000 yards of offense in their last 2 games. It's at the point where we have to accept the Steelers' defense isn't very good right now. And the way the Colts' offense looks, it's tough to find a path to Pittsburgh consistently making stops in this game. Now, one thing the Steelers have done is generate consistent pressure. They blitz a fair amount. They're third in time to pressure. So the Steelers' pass rush is still pretty good. Daniel Jones, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL under pressure. He's also got very efficient passing numbers when blitzed. What is going on? Where Daniel Jones, under duress, is the most efficient quarterback in the NFL, but that's where we are. So Daniel Jones, by everything we have on paper, should be equipped to handle the Steelers' pass rush. And what about Jonathan Taylor in the run game? I mean, the Steelers actually have done a decent job against the run. That's been the strength of their defense is defending the run. But the way Jonathan Taylor and this Colts offensive line look right now, I mean, it's tough to envision anyone slowing this down. 5.2 yards per carry, over 135 rushing yards per game, 46.4% success rate per rush. Jonathan Taylor has like 12 touchdowns in the last 4 games or something crazy. That might be exaggerated, but it's something nuts. This run game looks unstoppable. So if you're betting the Steelers and you're looking for ways to poke holes in this Colts offense, you can say they've played a little bit of an easy schedule in terms of defenses. And you can say Pittsburgh's been actually decent against the run, which, I mean, if you take Daniel Jones' run support away, I don't know. It feels like nitpicking. The way this Colts offense looks and the way the Steelers defense looks, it's tough to find a path. The Steelers defense is also dealing with injuries. Deshaun Elliott is on the IR. Cole Holcomb has also been ruled out of this game. They also have injuries to the depth. Hold on, let me pull it up, because this graphic just shows the starting 11 or 12 there. So safety Chuck Clark has also been ruled out. Jabril Peppers, there's another guy that was seen in the field for the Steelers. He's been ruled out of this one. Dante Kent, that's a nickel corner on their team. He's also been ruled out. Kobe Trice is another corner on their roster. He's on the IR. Miles Killebrew, another one of their DBs. He's on the IR. So in addition to this secondary not playing well, they're really thin in the secondary as well. So like I said, I keep repeating this over and over again. It's tough to find a path to the Steelers making stops. And by the way, Colts offense, completely healthy. They're completely good to go on this side of the ball. So unless something crazy happens or there's barring anything nuts, I would imagine the Colts are going to be able to move the football in this game based on what we've seen so far this year. The question is on the other side of the ball, because as impressive as the Colts offense has been, the defense has been just okay. They're not the worst defense in the league or anything, but they certainly haven't had the success they've had this year because of their defense. They're 24th in success rate, 11th in EPA per play, and Pittsburgh offensively, the problems they're having are on the other side of the ball. The Steelers' offense has been fine. If you look at the Colts' defensive numbers from their last 4 games, sure, they're only allowing 17.8 points per game, and that looks pretty good. One, you got to take into account the opponents, the Raiders, the Cardinals with a backup quarterback, the injured Chargers, the Titans with Cam Ward. Against those opponents, 6.1 yards per play, 50.8% success rate. That's concerning. And then if you rewind back to pretty much the only time the Colts have seen a really good offense this year, they look terrible. 7.5 yards per play allowed, 57.8% success rate, 27 points allowed to the Rams. So this Colts defense might be guilty of playing a lot of bad offenses, and the Steelers are definitely not a bad offense. I mean, the Steelers may have lost 2 games in a row. It's not because of the offense. In their 2 losses, 6.6 yards per play, 28 points per game, success rate over 49%. Other than the second half late in that Green Bay game where the Packers got to pin their ears back and just go after the quarterback because the Steelers were down, other than that little section, Steelers offense has been fine in the last 2 games. Now, the Colts defense is healthier. If you're looking to bet on Indianapolis and you're looking for a reason to play on this Colts defense, it does look healthier. Kenny Moore was banged up. He is now back. Who else was banged up? Bukum is actually out. It's not listed in this graphic. I think he's ruled out. Grover Stewart looks like he's going to play. So the Colts defense is slightly healthier. But I think the Steelers can move the ball on this Colts team. I can't play on Pittsburgh at plus 3.5. This Colts offense just looks like an absolute wagon. What I can do is bet the over. Unfortunately, the number is long gone. I'm on the over at 47.5. It's now at 50.5, 51. I would make the game 52.5. So I think maybe there's still a little bit of an edge left there at over 50.5. I'm on the over in this one. Falcons Patriots in Foxborough. If you made a list of teams that badly need a win right now, I would imagine the Atlanta Falcons are towards the top of that list. Man, they had that huge win over Buffalo on Monday Night Football. Was that Sunday Night Football? Pretty sure that was Monday Night Football. But they had that huge primetime win over the Bills. They looked dominant. Since then, man, they looked really bad against the 49ers. And then whatever happened last week. That was unholy. They didn't just lose the game to the Dolphins. They got dominated on their home field by the Dolphins. That wasn't even a fluky game. Miami just dominated them start to finish. So yeah, if you're making a list of teams that badly need a win, Atlanta Falcons might be towards the top. They need this one. Now, there are some injury concerns for Atlanta on the defensive side of the ball here. Diablo, Harrison, and Billy Bowman Jr. all going to miss another game. These aren't new, though. They didn't play in the Dolphins game either. It looks like Jesse Bates and Leonard Floyd are going to play. They've been participating in practice all week. So some injury concerns for the Falcons on the defensive side of the ball. I actually think the Falcons defense is equipped to give New England some problems. I'm saying some problems because Drake May's playing too well. You can't expect the Patriots offense to just get stifled. I'm just saying the way that this Falcons defense has been playing, they might be equipped to give New England some problems. So what do I mean by that? Well, last week, Tua Tagovailoa had himself a good game against this Falcons defense, 205 yards through the air. I think he threw 3 or 4 touchdowns in the game. But before that, in their first 6 games, nobody was really throwing the ball on this Falcons defense. Just 155.7 passing yards allowed per game, an average opponent passer rating of 73.5, 6 yards per pass attempt. And that includes Baker Mayfield, who was struggling to throw the ball in this Falcons defense. Josh Allen had one of his worst games of the season against this Falcons defense. This Falcons defense has really struggled against the run. They've actually put up some really nice looking numbers against the pass. Now, does that mean they could shut down Drake May? No, he's been too good. I mean, look at his numbers in the last 7 games. Passer rating over 129. He's been excellent under pressure. I mean, he's been arguably the most efficient quarterback in the NFL in recent weeks. But the way this Falcons defense is built right now, they're sending a lot of blitzes. They're second or first in blitz rate in the NFL. They're letting you run on them. They're just eliminating the downfield throws. Now, Drake May has excellent numbers against the blitz, excellent numbers under pressure. Again, he's not like Drake May is not going to be shut down here or anything, but this Falcons defense is relinquishing the run. Teams are running the ball in Atlanta. The Patriots haven't been able to run the ball all year. On the season, they're averaging less than 30% success rate per rush. So the way this Falcons defense has operated so far this year, it might actually be a challenge for New England offensively. And on the other side of the ball, I've been pretty vocal about how I don't believe this Patriots secondary is very good. They've looked really vulnerable against the pass. I know the last 2 games look pretty good, but we'll get into it in a second. I think the table's set for Michael Penix to have a really efficient game throwing the ball. First of all, the Falcons got basically their entire passing attack back. Michael Penix taken off the injury report. Same goes for Drake London. Darnell Mooney is also back. He's been back, though, I think a game or 2 now. So maybe the graphic doesn't belong there, but Michael Penix, Drake London, Darnell Mooney all playing in this game. And you look at the Patriots' defensive numbers from their last 2, and you might think, oh, Kyle, they fixed their issues against the pass. They're no longer getting cooked through the air anymore. In their last 2 games, they're allowing 13 points per game, 5.3 yards per play, success rate under 40%. It looks great, right? Well, they played Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel, 2 rookie quarterbacks, probably the 2 worst offenses in the NFL. We can't just erase the first 6 games of the year where New England was getting religiously thrown on. 62.9% success rate per dropback against the Patriots in the first 6 games, 8.3 yards per pass attempt, over 250 passing yards allowed per game. I think Penix can throw the ball on this Patriots secondary. The New England pass rush hasn't done much. It's a slightly below average pass rush so far this year. Also, I had Sean Green on as a guest. He was talking about how the Patriots are the worst defense in the NFL against receiving running backs out of the backfield. Perfect for Bijan Robinson. I think Michael Penix could have a big game throwing the ball. I think the Falcons are going to put points up right back on New England. So I actually placed 2 bets on this game. The bet I like more is the over. I got the over at 44.5. It looks like you can still get a flat 45 if you look. So I like the over. I did bet it. And I also bet Atlanta plus 5.5. I think the Falcons are going to be able to score. New England's the better team, but I don't like laying a big number with a team that I don't trust to make stops. So I think the final score for this one, 28-25. New England wins. Atlanta covers. Bet them both. Over 44.5, Falcons plus 5.5 are the 2 bets I made in this one. Unfortunately, I got to cut it off there. I'm out of time. Like I said before, we'll talk about them all on the live show tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. I'm on the Bills. That's one of the later games I like. I'm on Buffalo. So, yeah, see you all in the morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time.